Hey guys, I'm Moana125, just chilling in the couch in a nice evening here, end of July, getting towards there, 2016, and I just thought I'd pop some interesting views about something. And I think given that how I'm in the UK, I'm able to look at this in another optic, not feeling too invested in this activity in the US elections, which you already know about since I made it the title of this video. Especially talking about Trump and Hillary, but maybe sprinkle it with some Bernie, some cases from the UK here, where I'm at now, where I can relate the two sides of the pond, and also come up with my overall verdict of who's the lesser of two evils. Right, let's get to it. First of all, I said lesser of two evils. I didn't say who's the best choice. I said who's lesser of two evils because they're both bad. Like, really, they're both bad. Some people might find Hillary great if you find that being socially strong on issues, like all the identity politics bullshit, basically, that Trump also has in his own ways, which, by the way, I hate all of. So, like, for instance, with Trump, it's his targeting of, not targeting necessarily, but like profiling Muslims, talking about the immigrants coming from the South, which is a valid issue, though. And Hillary talking about minorities feeling attacked and persecuted and stuff, like black people, which is like a whole can of... It's not really a can of worms, it's just not true, really. And also Latinos feeling persecuted and women feeling persecuted and all this stuff. And honestly, I think both of them are doing wrong here. They didn't have to touch these issues if they wanted a good shot at being taken seriously. But nonetheless, Trump, let's start with him and his identity politics. I don't like what he's done with the sweeping statements. But I do understand that his actions taken aren't too harmful. They aren't too harmful, or they can even benefit what little these issues are. They can be squashed with these solutions. So, to be clear, it's not for him about making Muslims in America themselves feel targeted or persecuted. It's about not allowing those who are not in America to come in. And Sadiq Khan would be an exception, apparently. Okay, and I think that's a very basic policy, and I expect it, if it were to be passed, to be very fleshed out with lots of exceptions and things. So I don't think it would be too harmful in the end, ultimately. So someone who's kind of educated like me, or a lot of the people watching this video, we can potentially go despite being Muslim. And I don't think it is that big of an issue, and Trump stresses how it's temporary. One thing where I don't see much wrong of it is strengthening your borders of your country. Right now, if you look up videos of it or pictures in Google, you'll see that a lot of the southern border of America is literally railway spikes, like bits of railway track dug into the ground, and they're like 1 meter sticks coming out of the ground. And you want to tell me that doesn't need to be upgraded? It's not a defensible position, really. And in my mind, it's just infrastructure spending. It's more public work. It's more jobs. To be honest, Bernie could have put it as part of his plan, and so could Hillary. And they would both get the point of stronger borders. I mean, what you're fending against here, Trump stresses, is not all Mexicans or all that stuff. It's the illegal immigrants, which are technically called aliens, apparently. And though these aliens indeed end up being some of them end up being rapists, murderers, and things, being sent up from Mexico, supposedly, when there are leaflets which make the inevitable passage of it easier. You have to wonder whether the Mexican government, is rather than trying to stop it, facilitating it in some regards. the rebuttal against what I'm saying here is just a line of buzzwords, and or also how immigration has been its lowest in recent years. And I agree. I just think it's, to me, a confirmation that there's no issue, and a strengthening of borders and infrastructure and greater security. There's not much wrong in that. So I don't get why Trump is called racist from all that. And I actually think that that's a lot better. That's not that bad, really. It's not that bad, what Trump's proposed there. Meanwhile, Hillary's neglected the immigration issue and be like, oh, we need to make we need to make more illegal immigrants feel welcome and fold them in. And I get that. I really get that. Both sides have their own ways of doing things. But the main point is to not treat this like a policy tit for tat. If I were going to do that, then Hillary would be my pick if it was down to pure policy. But the main reason, the progressive case, the left-wing case to get Trump in office is not just the policy, but about the people themselves. It's not so much that Trump is better than Hillary in policy, it's Trump is better in terms of his position, he's better in terms of his record, he's better in terms of the people who he's trying to serve. Hillary is proven again and again, even now, as recently as today, when one of her governors who support her say, oh, I'm sure she'll reverse her position against the TTP, she proves she is the bankster's Wall Street choice. She is that. Even Trump, who's rich, has no reason to really be bribed by anyone. He has no reason to be serving anyone when he's worth $4.5 billion. He has no reason to really be scared of that. Meanwhile, Clinton has a whole fortune made out of making speeches to these people, going out of her way. Instead of making speeches to people in a campaign, in the primaries, she was making speeches to them behind noise machines. So we couldn't hear what was being said. And God knows what promises she's making and things behind closed doors. This is really what the crux of Clinton is. Untrustworthy and corrupt. When the party as well takes a stand against someone who had integrity, who had consistency, and who had the people behind them, when they orchestrate something to ensure the establishment wins, why would we reward them? Why would you reward them with the votes? Why would you approve and prove to them that, okay, whenever there's something we don't like and we rig it, we're going to get your vote anyway, so we might as well just vote it. Why are you gonna give them that feeling? No, the only way they learn what they did was wrong, where they suppressed votes across many states. New York comes to mind. Rhode Island comes to mind when they closed down half the voting booths. Arizona is the big one where it comes to mind, where they were queues 6 hours long because in some counties there were 4 times lower amount of there was a quarter of the polling booths that there were in the previous election. You have other cases as well where independents weren't allowed to vote when they were allowed to vote in November. And let me tell you, I know plenty of independents who now have spoken to me and say they don't want to reward all this that was put against them when they weren't even able to have a say in the primary. Now, why should they expect to have a say November? Why should they suddenly fall in line when what is there to be? What the main point is that Trump is not bad enough. Trump is less of a danger, in fact, to me than Clinton is to the world in terms of global safety and security. And so there is nothing to be scared of, really, with Trump. The most there's to be scared of is a few Supreme Court picks. And even when Scalia was alive and there was a conservative majority, things were still able to be progressed upon. Things were still able to be done. And more importantly, under Bush, the Democrats were able to have a majority in the Senate. They were able to claw their way to have a majority in the House. The point is, what Clinton will do is she will do Republican shit. Her supporters are going to always, because there's a cult around Hillary. That was evident. There was a cult around Trump, and now there's a cult around Hillary. In the same case, there was a cult around Bernie. But Hillary's cult is stronger because she has a fanny between her legs. There's a cult behind trying to get a fanny in office. When we had Thatcher in office, let me tell you, that was the extent that brings. In fact, I would say Thatcher and Hillary's policy is pretty much mirrored, like against the workers, against the common people, and already for TPP. When the Republicans, even in their mandate, goes against the TPP, which is a trade agreement, the Trans-Pacific trade deal partnership. TTIP is a personal concern for me, and something which I have no doubt Clinton will sign the dotted line for on day one, and that essentially gives companies power over governments. So I can't vouch for that. I can't support that, and I can't support someone who instead of calling the Saudis for what they are, like Trump has in the past, trades with them weapons and makes fracking deals with them and gets money from them, actually, through a foundation, through the Clinton Foundation. I can't support that. I can't support someone who has put so much support for, who has vouched so much for Israel, who has done this and that for them, including trying to whitewash what they did against Gaza in the past year. You know, when Bernie, a Jew himself, calls that out, and Hillary tries to make a negative point of it, it's unacceptable. Now, one thing I need to talk about is why I think Hillary is a greater security threat. Other than all I just said. One, she already has tried to overthrow governments in the region of the Middle East and has succeeded in some cases. She was the tipping domino to getting Gaddafi out in Libya. What was the second most stable country in Africa is now in shambles in a civil war with two governments claiming power, when Gaddafi, unsurprisingly, was trying to make it stable. Gaddafi was trying to bring a gold standard African currency, and he was trying to teach other countries how to refine oil. There's no surprise Clinton came in there and tried to blow it up. Trump claims he's not in a nation building business. I'm going to take the benefit. I'm going to believe him because, frankly, he has nothing to prove he isn't. He is for the nation building business. Clinton has a whole resume of going to support overthrowing of governments in Honduras, of supporting a no-flying zone as recently as last year in Syria, which would mean putting boots on the ground in Syria. And when I think about that, for me personally, when I think about what Americans have attacked, they've attacked Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iraq, they've attacked Oman, they've attacked Kuwait, they've touched on Azerbaijan, they've touched on all these regions, everything surrounding Iran. And when I think, who has the gall and the power to be able to do mischief in Iran? I'm Iranian, so this is really important to me. And the answer is Clinton. With Trump, you're going to have half of his home people against him, and you're going to have all the Democrats unite against him. You're going to have a reinvigorated table to prevent any kind of war, any kind of unilateral action like that. With Clinton, not only will people support it, the Democrats who are the Republicans who are neocons will join hands with most Democrats and say kumbaya, and then that's it. Iran's going to be blown up for some bullshit reason, and that was because you wanted a fanny in power. When we're talking about who's more dangerous, we're talking about the difference between someone who doesn't know what kinds of power, nuclear powers, America has, what Hezbollah and Hamas are, versus someone who has spent years trying to undermine them, which has spent years trying to play chess with soldiers on the ground, which neglected the embassy people in Libya, in Benghazi. We were talking about this kind of person. Reckless activity. Hillary is more of a danger to the world peace than Trump is. To world peace than Trump is. Trump has made a clear stance against trade agreements, where Hillary is keeping silent about it, where the DNC's mandate doesn't say anything about it. So Trump is more in favor of making the economy favor the working people. Both Trump and Hillary actually are causing a deficit to the country with their plans. Trump is causing a greater deficit. But here's the difference. Hillary wants to raise taxes. She wants to raise taxes for the common people. Trump wants to lower taxes for everyone. So when you think about it, the country's debts are going to increase no matter what, whether it's Trump or Hillary. Yet with Trump, your taxes are all going to be lower. With Hillary, your taxes are all going to be higher. I don't want to entertain it much, but it's logical when for the same outcome, for nothing basically changing with Hillary, for nothing changing, you're going to get your taxes increasing, and that's it. You're going to get likely another war happening. With Trump, he's going to be blocks of shit. He's not going to be able to do anything suicidal or destructive. He's not going to be able to do any of that. When even Obama failed to close Guantanamo Bay, do you think Hillary will? Do you think Hillary will? Do you think Hillary cares about torture being allowed or not? Do you think she cares about it? When she's laughing and cackling about how Gaddafi got knifed to death because of her action, do you think she cares about the well-being of common people? Do you think when she's renting out a house in the Hamptons, when Trump and her use the same tax evasion office in Delaware, do you think either of them care about the common people, really? Hillary is just a greater danger to world security. That's the only main reason why I would vouch for Trump over Hillary, and why I will continue to advocate for that. You see Marley125 name? You know that's me. I'm going to always be advocating for Trump, and if someone's faking me, then let me know. But that's me, Marley125. If you have any concerns, put them in the comment section below. This is an open forum for discussion. But there's my interesting view from the UK. See you next time.